I never expected a simple dare to turn my world upside down. My name is Alex, and on the surface, I was just an ordinary guy with a steady job in graphic design and a quiet apartment in a friendly neighborhood. But beneath the surface, I had a secret, a curiosity, a passion, and a thrill I had never dared to share with anyone. Crossdressing. Not for fame or attention, not for a fetish or performance, but for the sense of liberation it brought me. In those moments, I felt like I could explore a side of myself that was hidden, delicate, and utterly mine. By day, I was meticulous, precise, the kind of guy who thrived on order and routine. My work involved long hours at the computer, designing websites, logos, and user interfaces. It was structured, predictable, safe. But at night, in the solitude of my apartment, I transformed into someone entirely different. The quiet hum of my laptop, the soft glow of my desk lamp, became the backdrop to a private world of silk dresses, soft makeup, and the intoxicating thrill of becoming someone else. My apartment was small but cozy, a reflection of my personality, minimalist, organized, with little personal flair on display. My closet, however, held my secret, a small collection of carefully curated outfits, shoes, and accessories. Nothing extravagant, nothing that could draw attention if discovered, but enough to let me explore who I was in private. I had always been careful, cautious even, keeping this side of myself locked away. My girlfriend, Emma, knew me as dependable, introverted, and a little shy. She was beautiful, confident, and magnetic, everything I admired. Our relationship was loving and playful, but she had no idea about this secret. And part of me feared what would happen if she ever did. Would she laugh, reject me, or worse, pity me? The thought of that rejection gnawed at the edges of my excitement every time I indulged in my private world. It was a Friday evening when everything changed. I had been lounging on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a knock on the door. Our neighbor, Mia, a bubbly and mischievous woman in her mid-20s, leaned casually against the frame. She had a playful sparkle in her eyes that always suggested trouble. "Hey, Alex," she said, her voice light and teasing. "We were just joking around upstairs, and we thought of something kinda wild. I dare you," she paused, letting the suspense build, "to spend an evening as, well, a girl." I froze, unsure if I had heard correctly. The words hung in the air, teasing, dangerous, tempting.
A dare.
Something playful, something innocent, or so it seemed. But I knew the power of temptation, and in that instant, my pulse quickened. "I mean," Mia continued, laughing softly, "just for tonight. Dress up, feel the experience. Nothing crazy, just see if you can pull it off. It'll be hilarious." The idea was thrilling and terrifying. Part of me wanted to run, to laugh it off, to deny even the thought. But another part, a deeper, hidden part, felt a spark of excitement. I realized that this was an opportunity, a way to explore my secret side in a way I had never dared to. A private thrill, with a hint of risk. I excused myself, retreating to my apartment, my mind racing. Every step toward my secret wardrobe felt like a heartbeat in a drumline, fast, loud, impossible to ignore. I opened the closet door and stared at the neatly hung dresses, the carefully organized shoes, the small array of makeup. My heart raced. This was it, the moment where fantasy collided with reality. I thought about Emma, about the life I had built, and about the thrill of stepping into someone else's shoes, literally. The idea of being observed, even indirectly, by Mia and the others added a pulse of danger that made my excitement almost unbearable. I selected a soft pink dress, modest but flattering, paired with a delicate pair of heels that clicked softly against the wooden floor. The process of transformation was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. I ran the brush through my hair, styled it carefully, applied makeup with meticulous precision. Each stroke of blush, each swipe of lipstick, heightened the thrill. When I finally looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. The reflection staring back was softer, more delicate, undeniably feminine, but it was still me, beneath it all. The next step was stepping outside. Mia and the others were waiting, the dare's audience invisible but tangible. Each movement toward the door, each step into the hallway, felt like walking a tightrope. The fear of judgment, the excitement of exposure, the thrill of crossdressing, it all merged into a single, electrifying sensation. And that was just the beginning. I had no idea that this night, this simple dare from a neighbor, would change everything. It wasn't just a playful challenge. It was the first step into a new identity, a life that felt both dangerous and exhilarating, one where I could explore the limits of who I was, who I wanted to be, and what it meant to be truly seen. The apartment felt unusually quiet once I had accepted the dare. Every sound seemed sharper. The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, the faint rustle of curtains in the breeze. My heartbeat echoed in my ears as I faced the closet, knowing that behind each carefully hung dress and neatly placed accessory lay the thrill and risk of discovery. I selected a soft, lavender dress, modest yet flattering, and paired it with a delicate pair of heels. As I slipped into the outfit, I felt the weight of a new identity settling over me. The fabric clung to my skin, soft and smooth, and the gentle sway with every movement made me feel different. Not fake, not a costume, but transformed. Standing before the mirror, I struggled with a tangle of emotions. Excitement, yes, but also fear, anxiety, and shame. Part of me reveled in the freedom, the chance to explore this side of myself without judgment. Another part feared what might happen if anyone discovered me. Emma,
Mia,
my neighbors, even strangers. I ran my fingers through my hair, adjusting the wig I had carefully styled. The sensation was strange, foreign, yet intoxicating. It was a small act, but it reminded me of the power and fragility of my dual life. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, balancing exhilaration with terror. The next step was the makeup. I applied foundation, smoothing it carefully over my skin, blending it until it felt natural. Blush brought life to my cheeks, mascara framed my eyes, and lipstick added the final touch. Every stroke intensified the thrill and vulnerability. When I looked in the mirror, the reflection staring back was feminine, soft, undeniably me, in a way I had never allowed myself to explore publicly. I adjusted the heels, wobbled slightly, then found my balance. Each step was an exercise in poise and caution, and I marveled at the way the outfit changed not just my appearance but my posture, my movements, my confidence. I had no idea that the dare wasn't just about dressing up. It was about performance, about being watched, even indirectly. From behind the curtains, I imagined Mia observing every movement, every misstep. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. Every sound, the hum of the street outside, the distant bark of a dog, the footsteps of a neighbor, felt like potential exposure. I tried to move naturally, walking through the apartment, testing my balance in the heels, checking the fit of the dress, adjusting the wig. Each moment of confidence was paired with a sharp awareness of vulnerability. My pulse raced, blending excitement with fear, and the combination was electric. As I practiced movements in front of the mirror, twirling, adjusting the dress, posing slightly, I realized that the transformation was more than physical. It was emotional. I felt lighter, freer, more expressive. The hesitation and self-consciousness that normally weighed on me melted, replaced by a daring, playful energy. And yet, the thrill of crossdressing was inseparable from the anxiety of discovery. Every creak of the floor, every shift in the breeze, every imagined eye outside the window reminded me of how precarious this freedom was. I could be seen at any moment, my secret exposed, and the stakes of the dare suddenly felt much higher than I had imagined. I tried different accessories, a delicate bracelet, a pair of earrings, a scarf tied around my neck. Each addition was a small experiment, a test of identity and expression. I walked through the apartment as if it were a runway, feeling the sway of the dress, the click of the heels. The sensation was exhilarating. I laughed softly at myself, enjoying the freedom, the way my movements became more confident, more fluid. I even experimented with different hairstyles, trying variations that made me feel both alluring and unrecognizable. Each tweak added layers to the persona I was creating, and with each layer, I felt closer to the thrill of being someone else, yet acutely aware of how fragile this illusion was. Then came the sounds: footsteps in the hallway, faint voices outside, a car pulling into the driveway. My heart leapt. Every noise threatened to shatter the delicate balance I had built. I froze, listening intently, calculating whether I could be seen or if it was safe to move. The anxiety sharpened my senses, turning ordinary sounds into signals of danger. I realized that the dare had become more than a game. It was a test of composure, poise, and secrecy. Each step, each adjustment, each breath carried weight. I felt alive in a way that was thrilling and terrifying, walking a fine line between freedom and exposure. A heel slipped under the couch, unnoticed at first. I retrieved it carefully, feeling a pang of vulnerability. The small act reminded me how easily the illusion could crumble. Every object, heels, wig, dress, mirror, was a symbol of my dual existence. They represented both freedom and danger, a delicate balance that demanded constant attention. I twirled in front of the mirror, paused, and noticed the reflection of the empty apartment behind me. For a fleeting moment, I felt completely exposed. The reflection wasn't just of me as a girl, it was of me as both identities merged, the man and the persona coexisting in a fragile harmony. Hours passed, and the thrill and anxiety intertwined. I moved from room to room, testing my poise, adjusting my outfit, imagining the eyes of Mia and the others watching. Every sound, every shadow, every imagined glance intensified the suspense. The apartment was no longer a safe space. It was a stage, a testing ground, a trap of my own making. I realized then that this night would define something essential about me. The dare had started as playful, but it had evolved into a deep exploration of identity, courage, and the limits of secrecy. I was testing not just my ability to dress and perform, but my capacity to inhabit a persona fully, without faltering under scrutiny. By the time the first hour of transformation passed, I had embraced the persona completely. My reflection, the dress, the heels, the wig, they were extensions of myself, revealing a side of Alex that had always existed, but had rarely seen the light of day. Yet, the thrill was inseparable from the fear. One mistake, one misstep, one unexpected visitor, and the fragile world I had built could collapse. The evening had deepened, and the apartment was bathed in the golden glow of the streetlights outside. Every shadow seemed exaggerated, every sound amplified. I was no longer simply Alex. I was the persona I had carefully crafted, the girl next door Mia, and the others had dared me to become. My reflection in the mirror confirmed it. Soft hair, delicate features, the graceful sway of the lavender dress, and heels that made me walk differently, almost rhythmically. Just as I started to relax, a sudden knock at the door made my heart leap. Not a polite, casual knock. This was deliberate, insistent. Panic coursed through me. My pulse thundered as I tried to anticipate who it might be. I peeked through the peephole. Mia, holding a mischievous grin, was accompanied by two of our neighbors I barely knew. They were clearly curious, and the dare was escalating beyond what I had imagined. My stomach twisted. I had thought this would be private, but now it felt like a trap. I adjusted the wig, tugged at the hem of the dress, and smoothed the fabric over my hips. My hands trembled as I tried to steady my breathing. Each second felt like an eternity. "Alex," Mia called softly, leaning closer to the door. "You ready to show us?" I swallowed hard. My mind raced. Yeah, just a second," I stammered, my voice barely steady. Stepping out into the hallway felt like walking on a tightrope. The heels clicked softly against the wooden floor, and I felt every movement exaggerated, every step scrutinized. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye, and I froze for a split second. It was me, but not me. The feminine persona staring back at me was bold, confident, yet fragile under the threat of discovery. I led them into the living room, each step deliberate, trying to maintain poise while my heart threatened to betray me. The stranger's eyes followed every movement. I could feel their curiosity, the subtle judgment, the unspoken questioning. Is this really him? The adrenaline was overwhelming. Excitement collided with fear, creating a cocktail of emotions that left me both exhilarated and vulnerable. Every gesture, every smile, every blink carried weight. I had never performed like this for anyone before. The thrill of being observed, of being admired yet secretly vulnerable, was intoxicating. I caught Mia's eye, and she gave me a small, encouraging nod. It was playful, but it carried a challenge: maintain the persona or risk losing control. I realized that the stakes had risen far beyond a simple dare. As I relaxed slightly, a sudden sound from the balcony made me jump. One of the neighbors had walked outside to grab something, and in the brief reflection of the sliding glass door, I glimpsed my true self, Alex, beneath the disguise. Panic flared. Could they see through it? Had my dual identity been exposed? I fumbled slightly, nearly tipping a vase, and my heart raced. Each small mistake felt magnified, a crack in the illusion I had so carefully constructed. I reached for the mirror on the wall, adjusting the angle to see both the room and my reflection. The duality was clear. Alex and the girl next door, merged in the same frame, two identities coexisting, precarious and fragile. The mirror became a symbol of my tension. One small movement, one misstep, and the world would see both sides. My heels clicked again as I repositioned myself. A small slip of the dress revealed just a hint of skin. I quickly adjusted it, heart pounding. The tiniest detail could change everything. Mia laughed softly, teasing, "You're doing great, Alex, or should I say our girl next door?" The comment made my pulse spike. It was playful, but it carried a weight of expectation and judgment. I felt exposed, yet thrillingly alive. The neighbors started asking questions, joking, nudging, and watching my reactions. Each inquiry, each glance, increased the pressure. I realized that the dare had become an exploration of identity under scrutiny, a test of confidence, poise, and emotional control. As the evening progressed, I moved through the apartment, serving drinks, chatting lightly, keeping up appearances while my mind calculated every potential mistake. I felt the tension in every step, every gesture. The combination of fear and exhilaration was unlike anything I had experienced. I glanced at the hallway mirror again, seeing both Alex and the persona I had become. The image was almost symbolic, a person caught between worlds, trying to navigate social expectation, desire, and the thrill of transformation. Suddenly, a soft thud came from the kitchen. One of the neighbors had bumped a chair. My heart skipped a beat. The small sound seemed enormous in the charged atmosphere. I froze, imagining Emma or someone else walking in at that exact moment. I forced a laugh, attempting to mask my tension, but every second stretched endlessly. The possibility of discovery was real, immediate, and terrifying. Minutes stretched into hours, each moment intensifying the stakes. I could feel every eye on me, every subtle shift in attention, every implied judgment. The dare was no longer playful. It was a high-stakes performance, a test of identity, courage, and secrecy. And just as I thought I had survived the scrutiny, Mia leaned closer, whispering with a smirk, "I think you're ready for the final test. Are you brave enough?" My heart pounded. The room felt smaller, the shadows deeper, the reflection in the mirror sharper. The thrill of transformation and the fear of exposure collided in a single, electrifying moment. I realized that the night was far from over. One small mistake, one misstep, and everything, the dare, the persona, the secret, could collapse in an instant. And yet, despite the fear, a part of me couldn't resist. The thrill, the liberation, the exhilarating danger, it was irresistible. The night had grown heavy, shadows stretching long across the apartment walls. I stood near the living room window, the lavender dress clinging delicately to my frame, heels clicking softly on the floor. The reflection in the glass was haunting, both Alex and the girl next door staring back at me, coexisting in uneasy harmony. My heart raced, every beat a reminder of the precariousness of my dual identity. I had just begun to feel a measure of confidence when the unexpected happened. The doorbell rang sharply, cutting through the quiet like a knife. I froze.
Mia?
Another neighbor? Or, worse, someone who shouldn't be here? My pulse quickened, my mind spinning with worst-case scenarios. Peeking through the peephole, I saw a figure unfamiliar to me, silhouetted against the porch light. I didn't recognize them, and the unknown sent a shiver of panic down my spine. Every instinct screamed that this could be the moment my carefully constructed persona would unravel. I adjusted my wig, tugged at the dress, smoothed the fabric over my hips, and tried to steady my shaking hands. My reflection in the hallway mirror seemed almost alive, silently warning me of the stakes. One slip, one stumble, and my secret could be exposed in an instant. With a shaky breath, I opened the door slightly. "Alex," the voice called, uncertain yet curious. I froze, trying to form words that would preserve the illusion. My mind raced. "Stay calm. Be her. Don't falter." The figure's gaze swept over me, taking in the dress, the heels, the makeup, and for a moment, I thought I could see recognition, or maybe disbelief, flicker across their face. My stomach twisted, and I felt the entire night's tension crystallize in that single moment. A sudden noise from behind, the unmistakable sound of Emma's key in the lock, made my blood run cold. My heart thudded violently.
She was home early.
She would see me like this. She would see both of me. I panicked, my legs trembling in the heels. Should I flee? Hide? Pretend nothing had happened? I was caught between instincts of survival and the thrill of the dare. Every second felt like an eternity as the unknown figure at the door waited, and the sound of Emma's entrance grew louder. I looked at the mirror, my reflection doubling the tension. Alex, hesitant, fearful, real. The girl next door, confident, poised, tantalizingly exposed. Both staring back at me, demanding a choice I wasn't sure I could make. The doorbell rang again, insistent this time. My pulse raced. I could hear Emma unlocking the front door. My secret, the persona I had cherished, the thrill I had lived for, was on the brink of exposure. And then, a shadow moved in the hallway behind me. I spun, but the scene froze in a perfect, suspenseful tableau. The screen of my life seemed to pause, leaving everything unresolved. Would the stranger outside see through my disguise? Would Emma step inside at this exact moment? Could I maintain my composure, or would the thrill of transformation end in disaster? The reflection in the mirror seemed to whisper, "This is just the beginning." The story hung there, unresolved, leaving every viewer's heart pounding. Who had arrived at the door? Would Alex's secret survive this night? What would happen when the girl next door collided with reality?